First, e-commerce is the future.
Yeah.
Period.
Why would somebody the size of Berlin Brands Group would want to acquire someone or a brand rather than build their own?
We are a big group, but we also have growth rates that we need to deliver to our internal stakeholders, right? And to our investors.
But let's reverse engineer, then let's talk about what are the things that you look for.
Rule number one is basically to have some brand equity, right? And
one, create a brand. And by a brand, we don't mean just slap your logo on a product and say, I have a brand. The second thing is, like you said, profitability does matter.
Welcome to Power Your E-commerce Business, the go-to series for busy entrepreneurs like you. Product research, sales, marketing, branding, shipping and logistics. We share knowledge and information every week from top experts serving the MENA region to help you power your e-commerce business. As an Amazon seller, as an e-commerce seller, honestly, the possibilities are endless. One of the possibilities is creating a business that is strong enough, unique enough, valuable enough so that an Amazon aggregator can acquire you, so that you can exit that business and move on to something else. That is one of the ways that you can make money as an Amazon brand owner or as an Amazon seller. So in this episode of Power Your E-commerce Business, I'm interviewing Arnau, who is the acquisitions director for Berlin Brands Group, one of the biggest Amazon aggregators based out of Germany. And we're going to be talking about actually what is an Amazon aggregator looking for in a business or a brand that they want to acquire. So that if you are at step number one of creating your business, or even if you are in the middle of it, now you can know exactly the decisions that you need to take with your brand and your business so that you can reach to a point where somebody can acquire you. Maybe you are already at that point, and maybe you are interested to learn a little bit more about this business model. Before we get started and before we jump into it, if this is your first time watching a video on this channel, hi, my name is Crystal and I'm the founder of Amazon Sellers Society and Sellers Society. We are completely obsessed with Amazon and completely obsessed with e-commerce, very much focused on the Middle East. If you want to learn a little bit more how we can help you, then you can check out our website, www.assmiddleeast.org. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video, and leave us a comment in the comments section below. What questions do you have for Arnau so that we can answer them potentially later on? Let's get started.
So Arnau, thank you so much for being a part of Power Your E-commerce Business. I'm so excited to be talking to you. Before we dive deep into everything related to aggregators and how this business model actually works, please introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit more about Berlin Brands Group.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Crystal, for the invitation. Very happy to be here. So on my side, I'm an acquisition director at Berlin Brands Group. I have been with the group for the last 5 years. I'm now very focused on mergers and acquisitions. So basically what we're trying to do is to source and acquire companies to help us increase our product catalog range or increase our market share in strategic markets. Previous to that, I was involved in international expansion, more specifically in the UK and the United States. So I'm very familiar with these markets. And before that, I worked at a very small bank called JP Morgan. I'm pretty sure no one has ever heard that. Very small. No one has ever heard about this bank. And as you can hear from my accent, I'm not German. I was born in Spain and I grew up in Switzerland. So because I'm native in Spanish and French, I also cover these markets in acquisitions. About Berlin Brands Group. This is quite an interesting story because we're in this aggregator space, but we're a little bit different, and it's important to understand where we come from to justify why I'm saying that we're a little bit different. So back in 2006, our founder, Peter Shaliavsky, wanted to become a DJ in Berlin. It sounds a little bit cliche, but it's a true story, right? I know the man pretty well. And the rationale is like, well, Peter was 18 at that time, so he was pretty young. He basically decided that university wasn't for him, and he wanted basically to go into the music space. And trying to kind of like kickstart this project, he wanted to buy music equipment, and he realized that the music equipment, the good one, was very expensive. And then he thought, why does the beautiful and good quality needs to be so expensive? And then he had this idea to democratize basically what we find in these brands in the e-commerce. He wanted to make it more accessible, right, to the middle market class. And that's how we started. And we started with music equipment, and then we expanded in other categories like home appliance and kitchen appliance, sports, indoor and outdoor, and garden furniture. And since the early days, the model was to be very agile. So we wanted to have like a multi-geography and a multi-channel structure, mostly focused in continental Europe, because in that days the e-commerce industry was booming, right? And we believe that is still, showing like very good growth rates in Europe. And it was very important to kind of like surf in the wave and going in the direction where the demand was. So we started on eBay, but then Amazon became the big thing that we all know today. So for us, it was always very important to have this agility, right, in being able to list our products in other marketplaces. And around 2015, 2016, we had, I would say, one of the most important turnarounds in our company, where we said, it is very important that we're listed in these platforms, so we don't have any cost of opportunity or missing any demand in Europe. But at the same time, it's very important that we start building brand equity and owning our own customer. And we decided to invest a lot in our own D2C channels. So for every brand that we ever created, we have built a web shop, right, in our own supply chain in every country we sell, right? So in Germany, we sell through our own websites, in France and Spain, Italy, the UK as well. And that comes with a very heavy investment in infrastructure behind, where we have multiple warehouses in Europe and lots of fulfillment capacity. I don't want to very deep dive a lot in details, but
I'm very happy because some of those things we're going to be discussing in a few minutes. But
I can imagine.
Yeah, but it's amazing what you guys have done, and anybody who's in the Amazon space, I think, has already recognizes Berlin Brands Group. However, now that you've gotten to this level, I feel most people, especially because Arnau, we our channel, our business, we focus a lot on the Middle East. And the cool thing about the Middle East is that it's such an emerging market. We find it's, people don't have more than 24 months of experience in the market itself. Obviously, there are a lot of people that are living in the Middle East that sell in Europe as well as in the US, but then the market itself, it's a fresh market, which is great because, it's challenging at the same time, but it is great because it's such a fresh and new opportunity for someone to get started. But I find that we get a lot of comments whenever people learn about the business model known as Aggregator or whatever it's called, like, when you acquire a brand, a lot of people wonder why would somebody the size of Berlin Brands Group would want to acquire someone or a brand rather than build their own. So what would be the answer to that?
That's a very fair question, and I actually love this question. So let's back to that's basically what I explain on a daily basis. So
of course,
it's very important to get back to the basics. The aggregator idea was born out of having synergies for multiple e-commerce companies, but the model is very basic, right? So we're gonna have like a certain group of very small companies that they all need a brand manager, a supply manager, a purchasing manager, an accountant, right? And basically, we're a little bit inefficient for the size of these companies. So the idea, and that kind of was like it became very famous with Ratio back in 2018 and 2019,
Yeah.
was to aggregate these companies, basically buying their assets, because we can then regroup these companies under categories, under specific products. We can talk about it later, how we're doing that internally. But then these companies, instead of having an accountant per every company, then we're going to have like an accountant per every 5 companies. Same for the brand manager who understands the industry, and then we can scale it. So that's one thing. But here it's very new. So it's at the end of the day, what we're also seeing in that industry is that to regroup companies that are purchased at a multiples of around 3.5 and 5.5, regroup them under a portfolio and then do multiple arbitrage because you're selling something bigger. So that is the idea of the aggregator.
It's mind-blowing. It's a mind-blowing opportunity.
And it's
because
exactly.
Normally when you think about, you know, corporate takeovers, you think it has to be like such a huge company for somebody to be interested. Like, because you hear about, as an example, like Amazon bought Souk, which is now Amazon in the Middle East, for like an undisclosed number. Nobody really knows. There's numbers floating around 500 million, 600 million, 700 million, who knows? But like normally when you think about it, you think about those sizes. But for someone who is able to build a brand on Amazon and, you know, sell it or get somebody as big as you guys to acquire it, it's such a unique opportunity. Because I was telling you in the beginning, normally in our mindset as entrepreneurs and sellers, if I want to make money, I would need to keep selling. I need to keep selling. But actually being able to you know, be a serial entrepreneur, create these fantastic brands out of passion and love, get them to a certain level, and then hand them over to somebody else who can take them really much further than you can ever take them, is just absolutely very, very exciting. So that's
absolutely. And now continuing, we're basically where does Berlin brand group stands, right, in this world. I take what you just recently said, you know, brands and passion. Yeah. And from one side, we just said, okay, aggregator synergies and building something bigger to sell it at a higher multiple. Fair enough, right? Also fascinating. When it comes to us, we see ourselves more as a strategic buyer. And when you ask why not doing ourselves or acquiring, this is a great question. So at the same time, what we're doing is that the e-commerce has very good momentum. And what we have realized, right, is that founders, right, from these small companies are very good at creating a brand equity story or a good product. There's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of story. And this is the passion, right, that comes is like, sometimes they come from a very specific industry, they have this genius idea. Things that are, I wouldn't say hard, right, but we are, you know, a very large corporate. Yes, we have a creativity. But I think it's always like, in my humble opinion, it's always very good to understand what is going on in that industry. And our product managers and brand managers, right, they're constantly brainstorming on how we can expand our product catalog, right? So for example, when it comes to home appliance, kitchen appliance, they even do like surveys internally, like they show us pictures about the new chairs or the new fridge they want to introduce, the colors. We participate, right, in this process, which is very exciting. Yeah. But in our study of the competition and the newcomers in the market, where we see that they're increasing in market share, then we'll realize, okay, so this product has this functionality, and we actually want to launch a product, a very similar product. And in terms of the line of design, it can actually make more sense, you know, to have it included in our catalog. And jackpot, right? These companies are highly exposed in the United Kingdom and the United States, where we're actually organically expanding. Then this could help us accelerate our international expansion, whether not only on the sales, but also with their structure, with some of their employees to help us, right? So this is the philosophy, which I think it's two different things, right? On BBG side, we have a know-how and synergies we can apply, and that's what we're looking for, right? So something where we can both, you know, use to grow.
Amazing. Because the cool thing is, you know, we're going to dive deep into it now. The great thing about you is you're not just going to acquire a brand that's just making money. You're looking for something that can be part of your group and something that has, something that fits within your portfolio of products, which is great.
Absolutely.
Now, with that being said, I believe if you know what the end goal is, like as an example, if I want to, I don't know, have 10 kilo more muscles on my body, I know that if that's my end goal, I can reverse engineer it and I can understand the things that I need to do. I need to go to the gym, I need to eat healthy, all that stuff. So if anybody who's watching now, their end goal is to sell their brands, to get acquired, to, for someone like you to be interested in them. Let's reverse engineer it. If they've just recently launched, or if they've been selling for a couple of years, it doesn't really matter. But let's reverse engineer it, and let's talk about what are the things that you look for. Do you look for somebody that's heavily established? Do they need to be selling in multiple marketplaces? Do they need to be selling under multiple categories? Because I think all of those are misconceptions. I think people think that you need to be at a certain level, which you don't. I don't believe that that's what you are looking for, or at least you're agile and flexible. So let's talk about that. What do you normally look for in a brand that you want to acquire?
That's also very, so I would say it's also very important to understand why we just want to sell, right? Is that it's just for cash, right? Return on investment, which is fair enough. Do I know that I'm very good at creating, and then I'm very bad at scaling, so then I need to find another group that will take care of my baby. And I do lots of founders tell it like take my kid to college, which I actually like the metaphor very, very, very much.
Yeah.
Right. Or just simply people that want to get the attention, right? Because they have created something and they want to be hired by another bigger company. Right? So all reasons are fair. But let's take I would say most common one, which is a mix of the first one, cash, right? And see our brand part of something bigger.
Yeah.
If this is the end goal, what is very important, right, is that for a company like us, or now even aggregators they also understand how important it is that we need a brand, right? If my boss Christian Salsa said in a previous webinar, if we look at all these companies or even private equities like doing this kind of like aggregator and investment, there's always, as you can see here, there's brands, right? There's no, it's not Berlin Amazon accounts or a Berlin eBay accounts. It's brand, right?
Got it.
And if you start, because the Amazon account now is the best known, I would say, kind of like entrepreneurship thing that is being bought at the moment, but one day could be something else. If we are SKU opportunistic or drop shipping, there's no real value for a group like us, right?
Got it.
Because we are traders ourselves and we can do it ourselves, right? So if someone is selling third-party brands on their accounts, then there's just no value, because it's basically based in price arbitrage, even though the results can be amazing, right? But the rule number one is basically to have like some brand equity, right? And Harvard Business Review did something like a sort of a pyramid of basically where your product stands or your brand. So we have like the functional products, like something that shows me the time, something that I can actually use to heat water, or like something very functional, which is kind of like the basic things that we will find on Amazon. But what we're looking is this emotional component, right? And this emotional component is very important, because when we're gonna start moving outside Amazon, right, the customers need to think, okay, I'm buying Classtein because it's the brand Classtein, and I know they have fridge, and I like the design, and that is very important because it creates recurring revenue. That is the most basic thing. If we don't see that there's no good brand or a little bit of like a logic in the product catalog that is being developed, then it's already quite a red flag, independently from the size, right? So we've seen companies with 600 SKUs in the home space, but it makes sense. They all have like a line of design. You know, there's a very heavy brand equity, and that's what we like. But in vice versa, if we see a company with 100 SKUs and every 20 SKUs are very different from each other, at the end of the day, it becomes difficult for an integration or for a transition to kind of like give like a future path, right? I'm not saying it's impossible, but it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Got it. Because at the end of the day, you want to, well, that's your philosophy. I'm sure maybe not everybody is the same, but which it makes a lot of sense now that you're saying it. You want to acquire a brand, just exactly like you said. You don't want to acquire just an account that's making money. That's not at the level where you guys are at, because you've got already all of those accounts that are making a lot of money. You want to get a brand and put it inside of your portfolio and grow it the way that you can grow it. But about that, Arnau, does it really matter the obviously you want a brand that is also not losing any money, but is it very important the size? Because you are at a level, Berlin Brands Group is not at a starting level. You guys are at a very, very advanced level. So it might be different for another company. But are you looking for a certain revenue size? Are you looking for somebody that is also selling? Is it very important that somebody has already set up their own web shop the way that you guys are operating? Or it doesn't really matter? You are able to scale back or to acquire somebody that isn't at that high level yet?
Finance matters. So let me kind of like give you a breakdown. Just to very quickly answer your question about the website, that doesn't matter, because that's kind of that's the synergies that we actually bring, as part of a bigger corporate and having more resources, right? So if there's no website, it's not a deal blocker at all. In fact, in some specific cases, it makes it interesting because we really have room for scaling. But at the end of the day, I like how you kind of reverse engineer basically things. We are a big group, but we also have like growth rates that we need to deliver to our internal stakeholders, right, and to our investors. So M&A, right, is a good vehicle as well to help us, right, equilibrate this growth, because we're now being part of a large corporate. You can imagine that it gets difficult, right, to organically show these double-digit growth rates on a year-over-year basis, right? It gets very intensive, right? In then product development, right? It gets hard to scale, and then M&A, right, kind of helps like integrate this growth. And financials are important for that aspect. Is that we need basically companies that show like also like this triple-digit growth in some cases, and then profitability is very important, right? Because we're a company that always, like, for us, the North Star goal is always being profitable no matter what, right? To have like this very healthy fundamental. And world is always made by exceptions. So yes, margins are important, but if we were to see like a very strong, and here I'm talking more in the future, right? Because we're also as a company, we're learning about how to acquire and integrate and grow these brands. But if we take a D2C company, right, that has a very strong commercial channel, they have like a very good infrastructure, but they basically generate like a lot of recurring revenue by subscription and a low churn and a lot of loyalty, right, with an increasing average selling price or an increasing basically average the average orders or units per order, sorry, it's also increasing. And the company is still not profitable, but we can justify that because it's investment in growth, right? And the product life cycles are long, and they have like a clear advantage in their niche. That as an acquisition director, I would, it will give me a lot of arguments to create momentum internally, right? As an investment.
It's great that there is obviously there are major guidelines or guidelines that you follow, but at the same time, there's so much room in between. That's the beauty of this whole business called e-commerce. So it's great to know. But I think the most important thing that I can take out of what you've explained is, one, create a brand. And by a brand, we don't mean just slap your logo on a product and say, I have a brand. Create a brand and thoughtfully decide how to expand that brand into SKUs, 5, 10, 100, 200, it doesn't matter, but it matters that they are all catered to be complementary, or at least that they make sense all together under one portfolio. The second thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, the second thing is, like you said, profitability does matter. You need to make sure that whatever decisions that you're making aren't driven by ego and the fact that you want to scale, because that's what you need to do, and you need to scale. Scaling in a way where you ensure that you are being, making the right decisions and being profitable every step of the way is also very important when you want to, when your end goal is to, sell that brand, or get somebody like Berlin Brands Group to acquire it, and then you can have it go to college. Am I right with what I just said?
You're very right. You're very right. It's very well summarized, and right for our new management, because that's also I mean, it's not a misconception, but there's a lot of founders that always come in a call, right, and say, oh, they automatically say no because you will do it better. Yes, a corporate has like much bigger chances, right, to do it better. That's 100% sure. And we bring another skill set and softwares, bigger ERPs, so we have all the ingredients to make it better. But and I'm pretty sure we will cover that. But just as a very quick side note, sellers also need to do their due diligence on their future buyer as well.
Yeah. Of course, you're not going to just decide to take over a brand that is just because they have an idea. So they need to, at least at the level, at the model that you guys are following. I'm sure, if you want to sell there's a lot of people that can buy your store on Amazon, but that's not what you guys are doing. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit, Arnau, when you guys take over a brand and when it's added into your portfolio, what happens? What is obviously it's not the same for everything, or depending on the brand itself, but what is the trajectory that you normally, what do? You take it to the gym? What do you take it to college? What happens?
We literally take it to the gym. And I would say even before, how football players, they have like this medical this medical test before going to the first game. So it's kind of similar. Let's take basically
so cool.
80% of our acquisitions, a company that is highly exposed. The brand is highly exposed in an Amazon channel, and on a European side or American side. We also have like lots of cases this way. So the due diligence is like the doctor that says, okay, like we check the cardiologist, that we have like a good heart rate, profitability, good growth rates. If he trains, this guy can even run faster. So we give the go to play the first game. The first game is business as usual, right? So during the transition, right, it's very important that we ensure that our experts understand the brand, right? That everything is very well, I would say, integrated in our business. And here, I would say there's nothing aggressive in terms of expansion or that is being done in the first 3 to 6 months. In fact, our brand managers and marketing managers, they start basically trying to understand how we can optimize things, right? And this is already, we improve basically like the bottom profit line, what we will call commonly EBITDA, and because the marketing is where we have like the bigger impact, because it's usually in companies it can range from 6 to 20%, and for these companies that are at 20%, right, we try to see where we can be a little bit more efficient, and of course in overheads as well, right? We're gonna have like a different cost structure. So that's optimization, right, and consolidation. And then the brand managers in the market, in this distribution channel, which here is Amazon, will try to identify how I increase my market share, right? With the business as it is, like being consultants, like an agency, right? That's it. After that, we will be in a place where, we're okay. So now we've done our homework. We have something that is more profitable, right? And we're gaining market share in our category on Amazon. Then we will start exploring other channels in that geography. In the United States, that would be Walmart or Target, right? And we're still only focused in e-commerce. So at this stage, we're not actively exploring retail, even though it's an idea. So then we have like this multi-channel, and we're still in the market consolidation. At the same time, right? For us as a European company, it's very easy and it's business as usual to roll out, right, these products on Amazon and other marketplaces. So that's a very quick win as well. So the reorders that will come, there's going to be a shipment for the US, there's going to be a shipment for Europe. And this will be a product launch in Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, right? We have like the translator team, and of course we will be changing all the visuals, right, with our studio that we have in place. Then we will introduce that to our web shops, or even decide if they have there's an existing web shop to take it over. And our product managers then will jump in, right? These products is like, what are the new products that we're gonna launch? Can we create a family of products? Can we create variants? Can we try new colors? Can we try new materials? But that comes already at a more advanced stage of integration. Basically, like here, when the product managers really jump in, is, I would say, after 1 year, a year and a half, we're basically like showing a good growth trajectory. But what's important to understand is that here, in our case, the founder, we like to have the founder close to us.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you next. Yeah. So what happens to the founders? Do they just leave the picture? Are they still part of the process? Do they retain equity in the business? Or I'm sure it's different for each and every acquisition that you do, but normally what's the normal standard way that you do it?
Exactly. So I mean, in this game, we're always open-minded, that there's no real I would say like fixed thing, but most part of the cases, right? So we go for an asset deal, and then they will have like a profit share basically scheme on to kind of like incentivize to stay close to us. We will always respect the founder's will. If the founders is like, well, like I've done a burnout, I don't want to hear about e-commerce anymore, and I'm just going to Maldives. Hey, okay. I mean, I'm 31 and I want to retire, so. I'm kidding. For if there's any senior guy looking, I want to stay. And we're the right way, but also to give the transparency to the founder that we're going the right direction to deliver on the profit share, right? So it goes both ways. For the founders that are a little more passionate, even better, right? That's the kind of the scenario that I like. They can have as much contact with the brand managers and product managers as they want. And in other cases, right, as I said at the beginning, we might even hire them. Where we identify like really good profiles that can be also very useful for our international expansion. And these founders, in average, they're quite young. They're around 25, 30. We could even say that they're starting their career. So at BBG, we're more than happy to take them and give them right as a kind of like a general manager of the brand, or in specific structures. They will be the director. This is still the CEO of this brand, but developing that under the Berlin Brands Group umbrella. So there's a lot of ways that we could structure at the post collaboration.
As you are talking, I'm thinking, what an amazing opportunity, because I'm sure anybody who's watching this is an Amazon brand owner, at any stage in their life. I'm sure they fantasize about having a team of people work on your brand overnight, and people who know what they're talking about, because sometimes it becomes so stressful as an entrepreneur. Like you said, you want to, you want to retire. So you get to a certain point where it's just so fantastic. And the fact that you guys have created such a streamlined process, and you have so many processes in place, which I believe to my core is the secret behind any successful business, is having the correct processes in place. And yes, it might seem like, oh my God, it doesn't require that much work. Come on, just like start launching new products. Actually, no, having a stable process is what makes you be able to expand in the double digits every single year and be able to build something that is stable. So it's so exciting and such an amazing opportunity for anyone. And thank you so much, Arnau, for breaking it down. I'm sure people are going to be so excited.
No problem. Well, I'm always
I know a lot of people know about Berlin Brands Group, but I hope like we've been able to, shed a little bit of light into what is a potential for someone to maybe go through this process instead of just expanding their business on their own. They're able to be part of a huge group like Berlin Brands Groups. As a last question, because I do get a lot of comments from people who are still on the fence or who have just recently started early days in e-commerce, and that come from a completely different background, which is fantastic that you're able to, set up a business e-commerce, by being, you could be a pharmacist or an engineer or have like a completely different background, which is like beautiful that we live in this time where, you're not limited to what you studied, because that's not necessarily who you are. You can expand and become whatever you want to be. So I always see that a lot of people are kind of skeptical about e-commerce, and they think all of a sudden it's gonna, it's just because of 2020, especially here in the Middle East, because what ended up happening is Amazon opened up in the UAE in 2019, and then it obviously exploded in 2020. But it's not because, well, e-commerce in general became really huge in 2020, but because it just happened to be the right time for Amazon. So they were in the right time, and they had just launched, and they were expanding the marketplace and making it a little bit more stable. So I feel a lot of people think that it was just like something that happened in 2020, and then, now it's not really that interesting. And being who you are and having the knowledge and information and all of the brands that you operate and all of that, what do you think is the future of e-commerce? Is it something that we're going to see? Is it a boom and it's going to burst, and it's a bubble and it's going to burst on our head? Or is it something that people need to pursue because this is it? Like, this is the natural progression of what's going to happen to retail?
Yeah, that's the question. So first, e-commerce is the future.
Yeah.
Period.
Period.
Period. Yeah. I'm going to explain. I don't want to have like the pretension just to throw in.
No, like I'm happy because I feel the same way. So
I know.
We're on the same page.
We're team e-commerce here, so I know we're playing in the same team. Is the bubble gonna burst? No, but I completely understand this questioning for 2020, 2021. We had, if you think about it, almost all the volume of retail transactions that were made online. So of course, we're gonna have an increase, a boom. Like it seems, wow, e-commerce, and now we're 2022, where things are going back to normal, right? E-commerce goes back to its normal share of the retail, right? So depending on the e-commerce, from 15 to 30%. What is, and that might seem right, that we're decreasing, and the top line of companies that we're even analyzing, they're going back to normal. But that doesn't mean that we're crashing, because we need to analyze that to pre-pandemic also levels, right? And we normalize it, and the trend is going upwards, right? So that validates basically that e-commerce is still growing. And in fact, after the pandemic, what is great is that the retention of the e-commerce for customers, especially for older demographics, is higher, which increases, right, these demographics that are this customer base that is buying in e-commerce. And the more we advance now with the millennials and other generations that will come, the usage of e-commerce will be massive versus what we're seeing right now. So I think I had a discussion with also some consultants. We both agree that, and it's public, I think, Google, like e-commerce growth rates year over year or forecast until 2030 were around at 10 to 15%, which is it's massive if you think about it. And then there are going to be like niches that will probably go faster than other ones, but e-commerce is we're only scratching the surface in terms of what can be done, not only on the commercial side, right, as a user experience, but in content, the way we're selling products, in infrastructure, the facility, the customer basically experience also on the delivery side. It's just the beginning, and we're reinventing retail versus the offline side, right? It becomes more as a showroom, right? And I think we're gonna see more of these shops, right? That in the cities that become more as a showroom, while then people order e-commerce because it's just, in my opinion, easier, right? The adoption now will get higher and higher. So yes, I mean, e-commerce without any doubt has very good days up front.
I'm so glad that you are of the same mindset. I knew you were.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If I wasn't, it would be very weird. It's like, okay, he hasn't understood.
Yeah, no, it's not good. Yeah, it's not good. Don't do it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Arnau, for all of the knowledge and information.
Thank you very much, Crystal.
If anybody wants to contact you guys and they think they're at the level where they want to start a conversation, of course, I'm going to leave the link of the website in the description box of this video, so they can go ahead and contact you. And hopefully, but at least now, they know, people should know exactly how to structure their business online and what things like hopefully the necessary steps that they need to take in order to get to a place where, if this is what they want to do, basically be acquired by somebody as big as you guys, then this is where they need to be at. Thank you so much, Arnau, for your time.
No problem. My pleasure. Was really nice, the invitation, and I just wanted to say one last thing.
Sure.
Yes, I think sellers, what they also need to understand is that from their side, it's very important to socialize, and we provide advice for free at the end of the day, right? So they even if they're just thinking about creating something, right, on the acquisition side and on the M&A side, is part of our job to do this coverage, because we build long-term relationships. That doesn't mean because a founder has no company to sell that in 3 years, 4 years from now,
exactly,
right? It can also be very interesting. And of course, I think going back to the international expansion and talking about a little bit the future, Middle East, it's in my opinion also a very promising region. We at Berlin Brands Group, we're always looking for international expansion. Of course, the focus right now in the short term is UK and the US because of their size, and I think it makes sense, and we already increasing our footprint there. But we have opened an office in Turkey, in Istanbul, and then we're gonna already we have our eyes in Asia and in the Middle East. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that in the future you will hear from us.
Yes, for sure. We're waiting. I know you will be here. I know you want to come and enjoy the sun. So
Yes.
Thank you so much, Arnau.
In Berlin, the weather
it's sketchy a little bit. That's fine.
Very good, but very thank you very much, Crystal, for the invitation. And then yes, we'll keep in touch, and call us if you have any question.
Sure.
Thank you so much to Arnau. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope We pulled back the curtain on necessary things that you need to learn if this is something that potentially you are interested in, basically selling your brand and exiting your business and having somebody like Berlin Brands Group acquire it and make it a rocket ship of a business. I hope this was interesting for you. Make sure that you click the thumbs up, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel, do all of those necessary things. Why not share this video with somebody that might be interested so that we can grow our community? I'll see you in another video with more information. Bye.